and welcome to your favorite bookish podcast, Fully Booked and Caffeinated. I'm Heather.
I'm Kelsey.
And on today's episode, we will be discussing Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli. I think that's how you pronounce it. I meant to look up the last name, but it's spelled like it says, like it sounds like Ciccarelli. So we're going to go with that. A dangerously romantic young adult fantasy that revolves around witches and witch hunters. Cue the music. The spooky music.
As soon as you said this book and I read that, I was like, oh, witches? Okay.
I know, right? Twist our arm, read a book about witches.
Yeah, exactly.
What is your drink of choice this morning / this evening?
Right now I have a Coke Zero.
Nice.
And this morning I had a latte. I stopped at, I went to the movies yesterday to see Clueless.
Oh, that's right. It was out this weekend.
Yeah, it was the 30th anniversary. Also, when I went to the movie, it was like, the movie started at 4. It was 3:58, and I was the only one in there, and the screen wasn't even on, and like all the lights were on, and it was just dead silent, and I was just like, so I just sat there and ate my popcorn. And then finally, like 5 minutes later, other people came in, and then they finally turned the screen on. I was like, this is weird. Anyway. Anyway, the point of that was nothing. The point was that I stopped at the grocery store on the way home. Okay, that was the whole point. And gotcha. I got almond milk because I was like, oh, I'm going to want a latte, and I know that I'm out of almond milk. And so then I get home, and I'm putting the almond milk in the fridge, and it sounded like there were pennies in it.
Like it almond milk?
Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? And then so I go to shake it, and there's like all this rattling and noise. And then I'm like, oh well. So I put it in the fridge because I was like, I think it was ice crystals.
Oh.
Because then I opened it this morning and it was fine.
Yeah, it probably was then.
And I had it, like 11 hours ago, and I haven't died yet.
You haven't died, so I guess it's all good.
I guess we'll see what happens, Anyway, it was delicious. Heather, what are you drinking?
I have water today. So yesterday I tried the cookie dough syrup at Dunkin', and I hated it.
Okay. I thought that
I didn't like it. It was way too... It had a weird aftertaste, and it just wasn't my favorite. I wasn't a huge fan of it. It kind of has like a mocha taste, which is why I don't like it, because I'm not a big fan of like regular mocha. But I think it would taste good in like the frozen coffees that they're making with it. I think if I were to get it,
milkshakes.
Yeah, I think if I were to get it that way, I would like it so much more, just not like in my coffee.
I feel like Dunkin' just has an idea, and they're like, "Cool, let's come out with this tomorrow," and they just do no like research or care in the world.
I know. I can't wait for cookie butter to come back, though.
Like, oh, I'm just gonna only put one new flavor every 5 years, and then get rid of it. What was the one I liked? Toffee nut? Ugh.
They definitely got rid of toffee nut?
Yeah. They don't have it anymore. I mean, it might come back. Hopefully. But it's gone. It's a sad day. I know.
All right.
I'll write to them.
Dear Starbucks.
Dear Starbucks.
Please bring back my toffee nut syrup. It is very important to me, and I am sad.
I can probably
Love
buy
Kelsey.
it on
Amazon.
I can probably buy a thing of it, yeah. Or like eBay or something.
eBay.
Because that's
You're
how I bought
pay an arm and a leg for it, but you know what? It might be worth it if you love it that much.
That's what I did with the white chocolate mocha syrup. When I bought it for Eric, the Starbucks one, it was like in that huge jug. I paid $30 for it, but it was worth it because he used it as the whole thing.
If I had one of those jugs, I would be more adept to want to make my coffees at home because I'm going to want to use all that syrup.
It's true.
Maybe you're onto something here. So Kristen Ciccarelli is a #1 New York Times bestselling author, because who isn't these days?
Aren't they all? Not us. But.
Not us. She's the author of the Crimson Moth duology, which is the first book. This is the first book in that duology. A Dark Forgetting, and the Iskari series. Before writing books for a living, she dropped out of college and worked as a baker, a potter, and a bookseller. So living my dream, just replace potter with like coffee shop owner.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so she has these really these really cute, quaint jobs.
Yeah.
She currently resides in the Niagara region of Ontario with her husband and daughter, so she's a Canadian. Well, I don't know
Okay.
if she is Canadian, but she lives in Canada.
Okay. Lucky her.
I know. Heartless Hunter was a nominee for Reader's Favorite Young Adult Fantasy in 2004 for Goodreads. Didn't win, but was a nominee.
Okay.
So I immediately read The Rebel Witch after I finished Heartless Hunter. So I read the entire duology. And I was just kind of like flipping through. I sometimes flip through read through the acknowledgments. Not all the time, but sometimes I do it. And so I'm glad I did, because there's like this, she had this little blurb about this specific book in the acknowledgments. So bear with me. It's a little long, but I think it's worth it. For what it's worth, Heartless Hunter was my fuck it project. When I first sat down to write the story, I had just had a baby and was very much in survival mode. I did not care what anyone thought about this book, screaming to get it out of me because I didn't have room to care. I only had room to write, and because time was of the essence, I couldn't waste it on anything but the story I wanted. If my agent or editor needed to pull me back from the brink once it was written, so be it. But I wasn't going to hold myself back. I couldn't have if I wanted to. I was in primal new mother, burn everything unnecessarily to the ground mode. And then Heartless Hunter came out and sold out across retailers its first week. And then it debuted on the New York Times bestseller list. I was floored. I definitely hadn't set out to write a best-selling story. I just wanted to write this story. I suppose if there's a lesson here, it's something like follow that fuck it feeling. That is my hope for you, dear reader. It's the same hope I had for Rune at the beginning of her story, and for myself in a way. I hope you stop caring so much about the opinions of others and allow yourself to live. I hope you find the courage to be unapologetically yourself and start making your life, and maybe even the world, what you and the ones you love need it to be.
I love that.
Right?
Wow.
And I'm like, why are you speaking to me? Like, I feel personally attacked by this little blurb in her acknowledgments, because holy shit, it hits the nail on the head a little bit too close to home for me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? All analogies. Because just fuck it. Her fuck it project.
I love that.
And it was so good. Like,
yeah.
I understand the hype behind this book, because a lot of people have been like posting about it. And I was like, okay, I'll read it. And I was like, oh.
And I think a lot of the times, especially with like YA, because this is technically YA fantasy, right?
It is, yeah.
I feel like a lot of times with YA, as a whole, YA authors are not as respected, but just generally we don't take the books as seriously.
No.
Or maybe think that there's as much behind them, you know what I mean? And like, this is her saying like, I don't give a shit. I wanted to write what I wanted to write.
Like, literally, she just wrote what she wanted to write, and then it's like, and I think it's the stories like these that people are doing just because they want to, not because they want to be like famous or they're expecting it to become anything. So I feel like it has so much more meaning when it's this story that she just randomly wrote that ended up being her best time selling book. So I love that for her. I know. All right, you ready for the book description?
Let's do it.
On the night Rune's life changed forever, blood ran in the streets. Now in the aftermath of a devastating revolution, witches have been diminished from powerful rulers to outcasts ruthlessly hunted due to their waning magic, and Rune must hide what she is. Spending her days pretending to be nothing more than a vapid young socialite, Rune spends her night as the Crimson Moth, a witch vigilante who rescues her kind from being purged. When a rescue goes wrong, she decides to throw the witch hunters off her scent and gain the intel she desperately needs by courting the handsome Gideon Sharp, a notorious and unforgiving witch hunter loyal to the revolution, who she can't help but find herself falling for. Gideon loathes the decadence and superficiality Rune represents, but when he learns the Crimson Moth has been using Rune's merchant ships to smuggle renegade witches out of the Republic, he inserts himself into her social circles by pretending to court her right back. He soon realizes that beneath her beauty and shallow facade is someone fiercely intelligent and tender who feels like his perfect match. Except what if she's the very villain he's been hunting? Kristen Ciccarelli's The Crimson Moth is the thrilling start to a romantic fantasy duology where the only thing more treacherous than being a witch is falling in love.
Okay. They had to hit us with that little YA at the end.
Of course.
But I respect it. Okay.
And so this is a dual POV book, which I love those.
Mm-hmm.
They're always good. I like when you get, especially in romance novels, I like when you get to have both point of views.
Yeah, I agree.
The female main character is Rune Winters, and the male main character is Gideon Sharp. So the story is based upon their personal stories as well as their, wonderful love story. a little bit of enemies to lovers, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So the book opens with Rune searching for Seraphine Oakes, who is a very close friend of her grandmother, Nan, who Rune ended up betraying, which we'll get to that. So she goes to Seraphine's house because her grandmother's dying wish was, you have to find Seraphine because she'll tell you everything that I couldn't. And when she arrives, Seraphine's not there. Her door is marked with a red X, which is the mark of the Blood Guard, which is the most dangerous group of people for which to be around. So all of a sudden you're just thrown into this dark, ominous beginning.
Yeah, it starts right away.
And so where we're at is that it's been 2 years since her Nan was taken, and they are now in the Republic of the Red Peace, where the regime had executed all of Nan's witch friends, seizing their holdings and inheritances. I would say that this is like the witch version of The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
Especially since the bad dude's name, or the leader, is the good commander, and all I could think about was the commander from The Handmaid's Tale. But it's definitely that kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
They completely took over the city and made it into something else, created their own rules, banned witches. If you're found out to be a witch, you're immediately executed. It's just kind of a whole thing.
And they did a complete 180 because the witches used to be respected and glorified and all that. And then now they're the enemy.
Exactly. So Rune receives a note that their escape plan had been discovered. So originally, when this takeover started, Nan is a witch. Rune doesn't know yet that she's a witch at this point because she hadn't gone through the change yet. So she has no, because basically you don't know if you're a witch. You don't find out until you have your first period, which is fun. So she has no idea. She doesn't know that she's a witch or not, but her and her grandma are going to escape, and the escape plan ends up being discovered. And so, when the book first starts, you find out that Rune betrayed her grandmother, and you think it was intentional for nefarious reasons, but it's actually intentional by Nan. Her grandma wants her to turn her in because she doesn't want Rune. She's it'll be harder for me to watch you get murdered than it'll be that will hurt worse than me getting murdered. So Rune ends up turning her in, and Nan gets executed. It's very sad. But Rune gets Nan's fortune. Nan is rich as fuck. She's got a profitable shipping business and a vast estate. This estate is the dream. It's literally on a beach. You walk through a little forest in order to get to the beach. It just all sounds literally amazing. And she's gifted this by the New Republic for her heroism during the revolution. And her heroism is turning her grandmother over and not being a witch sympathizer. And it's so we don't know yet what Rune is. So she goes, they have kind of, I'm trying to think, it's like A Court of Thorns and Roses meets Bridgerton.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or not even that. It's just because then all of a sudden you kind of have this very dark beginning, and then all of a sudden you're thrown into a socialite environment.
Yeah, it's giving like debutante balls everywhere.
Yes. So, and there's just these extravagant balls. Like, Rune is known for throwing, like, extravagant balls at her estate. So it's kind of, I wasn't expecting that kind of atmosphere when I started the book. And I was like, all right, so this is fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes to the opera house, because they have an opera house that shows plays that are, again, this is like very like Handmaid's Tale, where they can only like read certain books.
Mm-hmm.
Now they can only watch like certain plays can be on the stage. And she's trying to figure out where Seraphine is being held, because at this point we discover that Rune is actually the Crimson Moth, who was a vigilante who was rescuing witches, and she's doing it with the help of her two best friends, Alexander Sharp and Verity de Wilde. So these are her two friends. They're neither of them are witches. They're just, but Verity had two sisters that were witches that were murdered. And then the kicker is Alexander is the brother of Gideon, who is like the big witch hunter. He's like the captain of the Blood Guard, and he's the one that hates all witches. So it kind of puts Alex in like this tough spot, because he's very, very clearly loves both his brother and Rune. And so he's in a hard place, but you definitely can tell that like he leans more towards Rune, and I think he supports what she's trying to do over what her brother is trying to do. Like, she's trying to save people, whereas her brother, his brother is like just murdering everybody. Mm-hmm. We find out that Alex and Gideon killed the youngest sister queen, Cressida Roseblood, who marked Gideon with a tattoo, and he was the one who captured Seraphine. And Rune tries to invite him to her after party, but he refuses.
This is clumsy, Rune.
This was so clumsy. Because, like, obviously, like, she knows, she's already met Gideon, you know, forever ago. And the first impression wasn't great. Like, she could already tell that he was very turned off by her and wanted nothing to do with her. So she knows that he's going to be a hard mark, but he's the captain of the Blood Guard, so he's got to know the information and, like, where Seraphine's being held. Gideon meets with Harrow, who is his lovely informant, and he tells Gideon about Rune's cargo ship smuggling the witches. Now, Gideon isn't convinced it's Rune because of how vapid and surface level she is.
Yeah.
So Rune presents like this kind of, you know, I guess like you want to say like dumb blonde in a sense, because she does have like honey blonde hair. And so she's trying to come across like she just loves being rich and just wants to have parties, and
ditzy anyone and superficial.
Anyone who's not of her standard is below her.
Yeah, like obsessed with status.
Yeah. But Harrow's not convinced. And so Harrow's like, Gideon, you should woo her. Woo Rune. And Gideon's like, what? Like, I can't do that. But then Harrow's, I guess, convincing. I feel like it doesn't take Gideon much. And Harrow's like, all right, like, you just gotta do it. We need to figure out what's going on. And even if Rune's not the Crimson Moth, she might have an idea of what's going on. Or you could at least, you know, try to just find out some intel.
I do feel like Gideon is kind of easily swayed in general.
Yeah. And the initial sign of a witch, like I said, so the onset of a young girl's first bleeding, you don't bleed red, you bleed black. Can you imagine?
How traumatic. Like, think about how traumatic your first period is in general, and then there's black blood coming out of you, and you're like, oh, great, now I have to deal with being a witch and being on the run and trying not to get caught for something I literally can't control.
Yeah. And what happens is witches use their blood in order to, like, cast spells. And so, you know, they have like a casting blade, and they'll cut what sounds like these really intricate, beautiful designs on their body. So they're kind of almost like tattoos, but it leaves behind this silvery casting scar, which is the obvious sign that you're a witch. So then once that's seen, like, you're automatically outed and can be easily taken by the Blood Guard to be executed. So Rune...
This was my favorite part is that those silvery casting scars, they would form these like elaborate tattoos, like flowers and all different kinds of, I can't remember what else they were saying.
But basically it's like any kind of design that kind of, I feel, goes with that witch's personality.
Yes.
Or like
all
maybe
the witches
what their specialty was.
Exactly. They all have specific, not like auras, but like signatures.
But kind of. Yeah, like signatures. Yeah, I think signatures is like the best way. So what Rune would do is when she would, which is like so smart, when she would get her period, she would store her blood in vials in order to keep her body free of casting scars. So she would just kind of each month just stash as much as she can and then keep it so she can do spells when needed without marking her body up to keep herself to be able to do this vigilante journey that she's on.
That's one way. Yeah, that's one way to make getting your period less traumatic.
And then Verity would also like give her blood. I'm like, that's a best friend.
I know, right?
That's a best friend.
For real.
So Gideon ends up going to the after party after Harrow convinces him of her plan to woo Rune. And this man shows up with a silk fabric rose that he sewed himself. Doing the most already.
100%.
And Rune realizes in that moment that Gideon is the one that she needs to seduce in order to have an intimate access to all the information that she needs in order to basically to rescue every witch. Because he's the captain, so he's going to have all the knowledge that she needs. So now we're at a point in the book where it's like 10 things I hate about, or How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, but romantasy version. Because Gideon is trying to get Rune to fall for him so he can figure out her nefarious plan, whereas Rune's trying to get Gideon to fall for her so that she can have him fall under her spell of seduction.
Yeah, and they're both suspicious of each other's intentions. Like, they both know that there's a possibility that the other one is playing them.
But they don't care. Rune tries to give Gideon a glass of enchanted wine, but he refuses, which, smart boy. And Rune is like, well, I have to, like, drink it, because then she goes to put that glass down and pick up hers, and Gideon's like, well, why aren't you drinking that one? You trying to, like, is there something wrong with that one? So Rune's like, well, fuck, like, I have to drink it. And basically the enchanted wine is, like, it's a truth teller spell, so if he were to ask her anything, she has to basically tell the truth. And he does ask some kind of, like, leading questions, and she's able to, like, get around it some way, somehow. And all of a sudden, they're just about to kiss. It takes 5 seconds. They're about to kiss. And Rune, like, realizes this, and then just, like, dumps her wine on him. Just, like, pulls, like, that clumsy move.
Yeah.
And
it was all a little clunky, the way that
the first initial meet up or try to, like, of seduction. I know. And then Verity ends up walking in on them, and she's very displeased to see Gideon. She's not happy. Because Rune and Verity have this plan of, Rune is at the age where she should be getting ready to marry herself off, because that is also, like, a running theme in this book. And they have, like, they kind of have a running list of possible suitors, ones that more specifically could gain her access to finding out where all the witches are. And Gideon obviously was never on that list, number one, because it was so very clear that he disliked Rune. And Gideon is Alex's brother. And Alex is not quite yet aware of this suitor list. Verity and Rune kind of kept that from him because they knew that he would have opinions.
Well, and it feels like the other men on the list are also at that point in their life where they're looking for someone to settle down with, whereas Gideon, he's got his eyes on the job and that's it. He doesn't care about he doesn't care about his social life. Yeah.
So there's different kinds of spells that are mentioned throughout the book. So you have a menorah spell, which requires the fresh blood from the witch casting it. So this is mainly the kind of spells that Rune does, and this is what she uses her blood that she keeps stored away in vials for. And she typically just does like mirages, which are illusions, and they're less complicated. They require less blood. Then they have Majora spells, which are used with blood received with permission. So if you can use someone else's blood, but you have to get permission from them. And then there's the Arcana spells, which are used with blood taken without permission, which in turn corrupts the witch. So this is like the bad magic, the bad juju.
I like this.
Yes, this was a really cool explanation. And like I said, when the witches draw take the blood by cutting their skin, they get all these really cool designs all over their body. And like, it sounds like before the revolution, they were really considered to be beautiful. Mm-hmm. Like they were admired. Because it's basically works of art on your body. It's like tattooing. It's works of art on your body.
Yeah, and it also is kind of a depiction of your power. Mm-hmm. Like, because obviously you have this experience of casting all these spells, and that's how you have all this like beautiful artwork and stuff.
Yeah. Gideon invites Rune to his parents' tailor shop to show her the dress he designed for her. This man.
This man is not... He's like, oh, how will she know if I'm interested? Shall I make this dress from scratch?
Uh-huh. And then when Rune realizes he needs her measurements, she kind of has that ding, ding, ding moment, and she believes that the dress design wasn't out of the goodness of this man's heart. It was him trying to find her casting scars. Because she has to be nude. I know, because this literally was his plan. You know, so she has to be, like, nude. She's, like, still in, like, her underwear. But, you know, this is a very vulnerable place to be in.
Yeah, I was also surprised by this, too. Because they kind of make, like, chastity and stuff, like, a whole part of this. Mm-hmm. And then she's not the type of person in society who would be stripping down in front of a near stranger.
No. And then during this scene in the tailor shop, Gideon realizes the effect that Rune has on him is the same as Cressida, and he unwittingly reveals where they're holding Seraphine, which ends up being a trap. I fell for this. I fucking fell for this. I'm not gonna lie to you.
So did I.
I was like, oh shit, she did it. She got it. And then like the next chapter.
And I thought that he was gonna like find her there, and then it was gonna start their like back and forth.
Oh my god. And I was like, god damn. I
didn't think he was smart enough.
No. And this man, you literally find out that, oh shit, no, it is a trap. I was like, all right, cool. So Rune shows up at Seldom Harbor, which is this mine that Gideon says where he has to go to make his prison transfer. And she's immediately met by the trap from Gideon. And she almost doesn't get away. There were a few moments where I'm like, this girl is like already, she's going to get like caught out already. But
I'm like, what chapter are we on?
Yeah, she ends up, like, using his blood to deadbolt the door and escape, and I was, like, nervous, because I was like, oh my god, is this going to be, like, a corruption? Mm-hmm. But I guess because it was such a minor spell, and she wasn't doing it for nefarious reasons, she was just trying to, like, escape.
Yeah,
I guess
she said...
almost kind of like a loophole.
Yeah, she said because she wasn't intending to take the blood for the spell, she was just using blood that was there. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense.
Yeah. And so now Rune realizes that this was a trap, and so she needs to make sure that she has, like, an alibi, more or less.
Yeah.
And so there was a party at the Creed house, and so she, like, gets there, and she's hoping that she's able to kind of infiltrate herself in and make people believe that she's been there from the beginning, and that she didn't just somehow magically get here. Yeah. And at this point, she discovers that Alex is going to sell his home to move to Kalis full time, which is another town, which is where he was originally living prior to his family getting mass murdered, and
small
to go
detail.
To school. And so, like, he wants Rune to join him so that she can live freely, because in Kalis, witches can roam. It doesn't have the same kind of rules as they have now in the New Republic. It's like a whole different ball game, which again, Handmaid's Tale.
And this is where they were smuggling all of the witches that she helped escape?
To Kalis?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's where they were going.
Yeah, I think so too. I
that would make sense.
Positive.
I think that, yeah. And Gideon shows up to arrest Rune for treason, where she admits that she told everyone at the luncheon about the transfer. So, like, the two of them are, like, outwitting each other.
I was so impressed by Rune.
I was so impressed by this, too. So, in the midst of this whole plan, so her day was she goes to the tailor shop, she meets with Gideon does the measurements, oops, guess what, I'm going for the to do the prison transfer. And then so Rune goes to a luncheon, and at this luncheon she just gossips, because that's what she's known to do as well, is just to gossip. And so she tells all the other girls there about the transfer. So now Gideon doesn't know if it was Rune there or she has anything to do with it, because now multiple people knew about where the trap for Seraphine was.
And it fits so well into her personality that she's cultivated of like, I was just like telling the girls because
exactly.
It was like a hot piece of tea.
Exactly. So I'm like, damn, like the two of them, like back to back. Gideon ends up opening up to Rune about falling in love with Cressida. And there's this moment of vulnerability, I think, that like he wasn't expecting, and neither was Rune. And they end up skinny dipping in the sea. Rune kisses Gideon, so they have their first kiss. And Gideon thinks he's betraying Alex because he knows deep down that like his little brother is madly in love with Rune. And he breaks the kiss. Rune runs out of the water. And she's just
mortified.
Like, she's mortified because she thinks that he doesn't want her. And then they end up talking about the first day that they actually met. And, Rune admits, like, you didn't like me. And Gideon's like, no, I did, but I was just, I thought that I was below your station in a sense.
And he thought that she was, because she said something like ignorant.
Well, she wanted to shake his hand or something like that. There was something along those lines.
Yeah, she wants to shake his hand, and they don't do that in, like, the poorer towns. And she was also wearing an outfit that was, clearly showed how much money she had. So she saw it as just like, oh, I'm just dressing nice because I'm meeting someone new. And he saw it as, oh, she's rubbing it in our face.
Exactly. So there was kind of like a
misunderstanding completely.
Misunderstanding meeting. Because Rune was so excited to meet Gideon because Alex had talked so highly of him, and then Gideon had, all he heard about was Rune from Alex.
Yeah, because like she loves Alex and he's such a good friend to her. So when he's talking about how great his brother is, of course she's going to be like, oh, if Alex loves him, then I'm going to love him.
Mm-hmm. Rune enchants a jacket that she designed for Gideon so that now she can try to do the truth-telling without making him drink anything. So that was a smart little move. When she goes into her casting room, one of Nan's spell books is open on the table with a really difficult spell. So there's just, and she's like, what the fuck? So this just kind of goes unanswered. Like, there's just like this random scene of like this spell book, and like she looks at it and she's like, like that looks weird.
Yeah. Oh, wait, did it end up that it was Verity looking at it?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I just realized like we never got it.
I forget, I thought I wrote it down, but I didn't. I forget what it's called. It was like something rising or something like that.
That's for like the earthquake, right?
Yes.
Okay.
At the Luminaries dinner, Layla and the Good Commander. So Layla is kind of like Gideon's,
second in command. Yeah.
And the Good Commander is actually her father. So they bring Seraphine to a purging platform, and they offer Rune the purging knife to kill Seraphine herself. So Rune is like this special guest at the Luminaries dinner. She's giving a whole speech about how great it was that she killed her grandma, loves reliving this every single day of her life. And they're like, oh, we thought that it would be really great if we just had you, kill her. I mean, this is what you want, right? Like, you deserve this. You deserve the honor to kill this witch of all the witches.
And this is like this fancy banquet dinner. And she's like, oh yeah, they were setting up a dance floor.
Uh-huh.
Or no, a stage. Nope.
It's a purging platform.
Ugh, so gross.
A fire ends up erupting, and Seraphine ends up, like, disappearing. She kind of goes the fuck out of nowhere. I'm like, I don't know how she escaped, but she escaped. And at first I thought she, like, just disappeared, like, in general, like, she, like, got away. And then I realized that no, she just ended up back in prison. But she just was able to escape the fire.
Was she able to escape, or did, spoiler alert, help her escape?
No,
she was there.
Oh, maybe,
yes, because she didn't, isn't that where Gideon saw Cressida's signature in the air? Underneath the table.
It was underneath the table. Verity found it underneath the table and then showed it, yeah.
So I think that it was her who did it. Yeah.
Because basically the fire seems to only be engulfing or encompassing Rune. Yeah. Like, it seemed like it was following her. Like, it was, you know. But so Gideon ends up showing up to the dinner. He rescues Rune. They kiss again. And Verity is very unhappy. Like, she is very displeased with this turn of events.
I mean, he, like, runs into a burning fire.
Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, they find Cressida's casting mark on a table. And so now Gideon's like, is Cressida actually dead? Because the whole situation is, you know, Alex killed Cressida and Gideon killed Cressida's two sisters. Mm-hmm. So the assumption, and then so Gideon even asks, like Alex, he's like, are you sure that, like, you got her? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I shot 3 times, you know. He's like, I don't know where the body is, but, like, yeah, like, she dead. She gone.
She gone. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did it. I know what that is like. Not.
They end up figuring out that's where Seraphine is being kept in the prison guard, and Alex offers to get Gideon's access coin for Rune, so that this will give her kind of like for whatever her plan is to somehow get through the prison, which sounds like a fucking maze. Mm-hmm. And then when she magically makes it through that, she'll have this access coin, which opens up the place that she can get into in order to, like, rescue Seraphine.
Mm-hmm. Which I liked that it was framed, because the whole thing is, like, Alex will never directly betray Gideon to help Rune, but
in this moment he, like, finally makes that. He finally chooses out of the two.
Yeah, and the scales have kind of been tipped, and we're kind of led to believe it's like Alex almost sees her slipping away, and so he decides, like, now is the time that I really have to step up and, like, show her that she needs me and blah blah blah. So I liked how it was kind of framed like that. It wasn't just out of nowhere he decides to break all his promises, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So Alex invites Gideon over for a party. He's able to steal the access coin in a gambling card game. And Gideon tells Alex at this party that he thinks that Cressida might still be alive. So a lot of, like, moving parts at this point in the book.
Yeah, I was getting a little confused with the family tree of the Rosebloods. Like, Cressida, and then her parents, and then how his parents tied into it. It was a lot.
It was a lot. Alex admits to Rune that he never actually killed Cressida. So this evil queen, who basically was ruining humanity and caused the revolution to even happen, is still out there. She's still Roman.
Whoopsie.
And so Gideon, like, goes on a mission to find Cressida, and which ends up being a trap. There's so many traps, and an explosion happens. Rune finds out about the explosion and freaks the fuck out, because now she's afraid that Gideon's dead, and the two of them are reunited, and they have sex. They just end up doing it, like.
And also Gideon is like, oh, he finds her, like, sobbing hysterically because she thought that he was gone. Yeah. And he's like, oh, so you would actually care if I was gone? Bro, you made her a dress from scratch. You're sewing flowers by hand. Of course she wants to drop her panties for you.
You know, and, like, Gideon has all this guilt because, like, he doesn't want to hook up with Rune because, like, he keeps thinking in the back of his mind that Alex obviously is like in love with her. So it's just kind of like it's a whole mess. It's a very messy triangle. And Rune and Gideon, they have this really heartfelt conversation, though, where they both admit to each other that they're scared to fall for one another. And in this, like, I actually really liked this entire moment just because I feel like you get to see the real side of Gideon. Because I feel like his character is like, he puts on this brute front and he's so afraid to be vulnerable again because, you know, he was vulnerable with Cressida, who is basically using this man as like her very own male prostitute.
Mm-hmm. And abusing the shit out of him.
Abusing the shit out of him. So like he has good reason for disliking witches so much because he was abused by one. But like Rune has so many better qualities than Cressida, and she doesn't really emote any kind of nefarious actions or evilness.
Yeah, like he thinks all witches are the same.
Yeah.
And all witches would do that to him, etc. When really it's just that's who Cressida was.
Exactly. The next morning, Harrow and Layla show up with a portrait of Verity from the shopkeeper where the explosion happened, which is where apparently the witches were having their meetings. So now they realize that Verity might very well be either helping Cressida, like now like Verity is kind of on everyone's radar. And then he tells the girls that he's had better, speaking of his relations with Rune. And of course, Rune hears this entire conversation.
Of course.
And here's where womp womp, we have the third act breakup. I hate it. I hate when they do these moments where they finally have that special moment and then like the next day something terrible happens and ruins it.
And why does it have to be something so horrible?
I don't know.
Like, if someone said those things about me, it would hurt me.
Especially after they just had a whole conversation that they're scared to hurt one another.
Yeah.
And then he's just like demeaning her. But obviously he was doing it to try to get them off the scent that he had fallen in love with Rune.
But like, can't the breakup be gentler?
I know. And then just like from here on out, the book just goes off the fucking rails.
That's... yes.
Because then we have a situation where Alex proposes to Rune and she accepts. And I'm like, what? Because Alex, I have a love-hate relationship with Alex because he was like, what the guy, oh my god, what was the main character in Gone Girl? What was her, the crazy ex-boyfriend? Not Dewey.
Oh.
What's his name? Desi. So Alex is giving Desi vibes because he like wants to move Rune into this house. And he's like, well, you can't really come here because, you know, it's such a long trip. So she was like, well, I'm only going to stay for like a week. And he's like, well, it's like a 5-day trip to get there. So really you should stay for like, you know, a month to a year, forever.
To your entire life, actually.
Exactly. And I'm like, all right, so Alex is kind of giving off like these very protective vibes. And, you know, Rune, they end up like kissing. And Rune's like, I don't feel the spark I felt when I make out with his brother, but maybe I could get there. Like, I could fall in love with him, potentially. You know, we'll see what happens.
Because she's like, oh, there's a little stirring. Maybe it could grow into something. Mm-hmm. And I totally get why. I mean, it obviously doesn't fit with Rune's character, but I totally get why she's like, yeah, maybe it would be great to have an easier life. Maybe it would be great to not have to risk my life every single day. And not only that, but she hates that she has to put on this facade of this like vapid, superficial, whatever. Like that is more painful to her than risking her life to help these witches. Yeah. So she wouldn't have to do any of that anymore, and she could just
but I think I think because she just had this very vulnerable moment that went from such a high to such a low that she's just kind of over everything. And then when she realizes that the vial of blood and access coin are missing, and she goes to Verity's dorm room, only to discover that it no longer exists.
This was a lot.
So now we understand that Verity was a witch, and that was why, because you have these random moments in the book where Rune is like, wow, Verity wears so much perfume, but I'm not going to say anything.
Which, like, Rune, Verity's a better friend than you are, because Verity's like, here, take my blood. And Rune's like, I didn't want to tell her perfume is bad.
Yeah, because basically when witches cast spells, they kind of have like oh god, what's...
It's like a scent.
Like a scent. Yeah, like there's like a scent, like an aroma. They have a certain aroma. Yeah,
so like
that's what I'm looking for.
Smell magic, but each witch has their own specific magic smell.
So it smells different. So now Rune is like, oh, that perfume must have been Verity's witch aroma, and the room that she had at this dormitory was actually an illusion spell.
That shit's crazy.
Wild. That's wild.
I was so confused. I was like, even if she is this witch come back to life, I'm like, how is her dorm room gone?
I know. And it was like this small, like, broom closet.
Yeah. And she would go there all the time.
Yeah.
I had to go. That was crazy.
So she shows up at Gideon's, only discover that he has the vial of blood and the access coin, because when he was dropping off he had made her a bouquet of silk buttercups, which were her favorite flowers, like an apology. He ends up seeing the casting room open, and so he takes everything, and he overheard the three of them discussing the plan to free Seraphine. So now Gideon knows that it is Rune. She's the Crimson Moth. She gets arrested. Gideon finds out she's engaged to Alex.
The hits keep coming.
A lot of mean words are said. Alex shows up at the purging platform and admits to Gideon that he's been helping Rune in her vigilante journey. So he's like, well, now you have to arrest me. And then we find out that Verity is, dun dun dun, Cressida. So no wonder why she was so pissed about Rune making out with Gideon.
Her mans.
She's like, bitch, you thought. So now we have, like, you know, the crazy chaotic ending where Cressida kills the good commander. She goes to kill Gideon. Alex steps in front of the bullet.
Oh,
Alex dies. But before he dies, he gives Rune the permission to use his blood to cast a spell. And this is the spell, you know, in order to survive. And so this is the big spell that she ends up remembering seeing when she was in the casting room and the spell book was open. And so she cracks the earth in half, which, holy shit, the amount of power you must have just to crack the earth in half.
And also, it's just so crazy because before, I know it's all based on the amount of blood that she had, but she couldn't even do the lock picking.
She had
and now all of a sudden she's doing a natural disaster?
Oh my god. It was insane. And the book ends with the witch is escaping, Gideon swearing to Rune he's going to hunt her down, and Rune is like, bitch, I hope you will. Like, they're like, it's like, to be continued for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they both obviously love each other, but they're just trying to deny it.
And now it's explicit that everything he thought was true. And he also doesn't know that she hasn't been working with Cressida this whole time.
No, because that's the whole assumption. Because now that it's revealed that Verity is Cressida, of course Gideon's obviously going to think the worst in everyone, and until he's proven wrong, he just thinks that every single person is shitty.
Yeah, and like, why would he think any different when that's literally her best friend? And she was the Crimson Moth, so he's like, of course they would be working together.
Yeah, and then he thinks that Rune slept with him while she was engaged to Alex. So now he just has, like, all these, like, really negative thoughts about Rune, which obviously...
I missed that.
Yeah, that gets discussed more in the second book. But I think, like, he does like, say something in the book that he thinks that Rune had promised herself to Alex, and she's still, like, hooked up with him.
Oh, because it was her first time. I forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, imagine if she did marry Alex, and then he was, like, going to bang her on their wedding night, and he's like, oh, it's your first time? And she's like, no, actually, I fucked your brother.
Yeah, this actually would have been, I mean, Alex had to die, because otherwise this would have been way too messy. Because it got messy real quick. Like, honestly, I loved this book until Alex proposed to Rune. And then I was like, bleh.
I agree that's where the romance part went off for me, because I was like, this is getting ridiculous. But I did really like the ending with her casting this spell and all the witches, like, it looks like they're winning and then they're not winning. It's like this whole like back and forth battle scene almost.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So I did like that part.
You know, and it's just, and it just goes to show that in the end, Alex still chose Rune. Mm-hmm. Like, regardless. And like, he wanted her to get away, and he like wanted her to live the life that he wanted for her and to not have to look over her shoulder, you know, every day of her life. But Rune is so hell-bent on this vigilante journey and just like making sure that all witches are safe. Mm-hmm. So even if the plan had succeeded and they lived happily ever after and Alex was able to escape with her, she would have still been she would feel so burdened by her situation, and she would just feel guilt for not being able to finish what she started, and knowing that witches were still going to get murdered, whether she was there or not. And while it wasn't her responsibility, she definitely took it on like it was.
Mm-hmm. And I think that Rune is definitely torn between this mature side, which is like helping all these witches and risking her life, and then this kind of immature side, which is because of her age, where she still believes in a fairy tale and believes in love and all these things. So even though she knows that Alex would be able to take care of her, she would always have in the back of her mind like that pressure to fall in love with him, because love should be this big fairy tale instead of just going with someone she's comfortable with. Mm-hmm. But it's so weird, because at first I'm like, Alex deserves better, because he just loved Rune all this time. Yeah. But then I'm like, after you said he's giving Desi vibes, I agree with that. And also, it's definitely giving just like, he's like, you have to marry me because look how much I've done for you for all these years.
Like, it wasn't like it for Rune, it would have been a marriage of convenience. Mm-hmm. But for Alex, it's kind of like a marriage of obsession, because he's just so obsessed with her and in love with her, and he just wanted her. Like, you know,
and it's bordering that line between him just loving her so much and him being angry that she doesn't love him back when he's been there for her, when he's done so much for her.
Because then, like, when he finds out about the suitor list, like, he's pissed.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, and he's like, why wasn't I on it kind of scenario. And it's just like, he's like, you know, if you want to marry someone, like, it should be me kind of situation. Like, and it makes like, the most sense.
Which I agree with him on this. He's like, Rune, how could you not know that I'm in love with you? Rune.
I know.
How could you not know?
I mean, I think she did know, and just obvious. Well, I think because he was just someone that she was able, you know, because she gets her first period at like a party of his, and she gets discovered by him, and so she automatically knows that she's going to get turned over, especially knowing like who his brother is. And instead, Alex is like, you're safe here. So in that moment, Rune realizes that she can trust him explicitly. Mm-hmm. And
she can trust so few people.
Mm-hmm. And it's so, and like she says, it's like she never really cared for Alex in a romantic way. It was always very platonic, you know, brother figure for her. But she was, you know, but it's just sad in that moment where Rune is like, I'm never going to have anything else. So I guess I could, you know, maybe that spark could ignite if I just keep trying.
Yeah, and it's like kind upset. It's another one of those things, like, I see both sides, because it's hard when she's always been looking at him as a friend and never looked at him in that way. So she's like, maybe if I had looked at him in that way, I would have seen it earlier. Like, it's just, I kind of get both sides of it, but the fact that they would be together and she'd be thinking about his brother, that's where it gets too weird for me. I don't like the familial thing.
No. Listen, there's books out there that have that kink in there, but this one wasn't it for me.
Yeah. I wasn't too much of a fan.
And it was so, like, interesting because, you know, this is classified as young adult, and it had, like, some steamy parts. but they were very like closed door where it doesn't go into as much detail. Like there's things happening, but it's very like, it's very chaste. It's nothing like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like tasteful. It's like kind of like the tasteful, spicy scenes. But, it's just, when you think young adult, you don't think that you're going to have this. But I feel like there's also so many tiers now of young adult novels as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And I just think if you're going to read a romantasy novel that's young adult, there's going to be something sexy in there. Because that just seems to be on brand.
And I definitely think that they break it down more by age now, like 3 or 4 year
I agree.
gaps.
Because, like, ACOTAR was young adult. And, like, I know, it was classified as young adult. And then, like, as it got on, obviously now they're like, no, like, this is actually, like, adult. But, like, it started, because her first series, which I haven't read yet, the Throne of Glass series, that's all young adult.
Okay.
I'm sure there's sex in there at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, like, it seemed like she was probably, like, piggybacking off of that kind of world, but then she made it more adult themed.
Yeah. And I've seen them say, like, mature reader, which is, like, older young adult.
Yeah, I know. I just, like, you think, like, young adult, and you're like, I'm like, can you imagine if, like, a 13-year-old Millie just, like, reads this book, and there's just, like, I'm like, crap. I'm like, it really is, like, kind of, like, there needs to be more subsections.
Yeah. Well, I do see a lot of that on Reddit and Goodreads where people will ask, like, hey, my daughter is 12. Can she read this?
I mean, that's
and people
smart,
are usually
though.
very helpful. So they'll be
like,
yes, but there's this, and this.
And I think that's even better of the parent to be proactive, to, like, research what their child's reading. Because
because if you're not a book person and you're just looking, you're like, oh, this is in the YA section. Here you go. And all of these fantasy books, the cover is something obscure. It's not like Fabio on the cover,
No, it's like this is like a moth on the cover.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Okay, like, this is fine. This could just lead to, like, mature themes that your child's going to read and then bring up to you, and you're like, I wasn't going to have the birds and bees conversation with you, but I guess now it's time.
You're like, oh, and now I'm starting you early thinking that there's some fairy tale love.
I know.
Enemies to lovers. Good God.
But yeah, so there we have it. Another YA fantasy novel. I completely understood why this was popular. And it became popular, like, out of nowhere. Like I said, like, she just wrote this book and she was like, this is going to be fun for me. And then it ended up taking off and being, like, this huge hit for her. I know. Because this wasn't her debut. She had other books before this. So I love when that happens, especially for someone that's been putting work out there, and then finally something gets, like, a lot of recognition. And then,
yeah, I just looked up. This has 282,000 ratings on Goodreads.
No, because then the Rebel Witch, the second half of the duology, only just came out in, like, February, I think it was.
Yeah.
So people were, like, really excited about that.
That already has 138,000.
Yeah. I liked it. I don't know if you were going to plan on reading it, but I think you should.
Yeah,
it's
I will.
Quick read. And it was pretty good. It's very much like, I remember I, like, kind of read a review and someone had said, this is definitely more of, like, a romance plot book than, like, storyline plot.
Yes.
So towards the end, I feel like the finality of it went off the rails a little bit, but,
Yeah, I definitely think that, like we said, a lot of it was very clunky, and there were some things that didn't make that much sense, but you're kind of distracted by the characters and by all of this extra stuff that she throws in that you don't care as much.
Yeah.
That the storyline is like, eh.
No. And it was very much like you kind of kept thinking, like, it's like the will they, won't they kind of, like, thing with Gideon and Rune, because they're both trying so hard to fight this obvious infatuation with each other, because they know that they're both dangerous for each other, and they don't want to cross that line. And then obviously something traumatic happens that causes them to cross the line, which is what I feel like happens.
Well, and I like how there was the two different POVs, because not only do you know how each is planning to kind of sabotage the other one, but also you're there for the kind of inner turmoil once, especially once Rune overhears that conversation and she's like warring in her head, being like, I can't be mad at him because I was doing the exact same thing, but I fell in love with him. Like there's, so she's kind of in this battle between her emotions of like, I can't really be upset because I was doing the exact same thing, but I was hoping that he fell for me like I fell for him.
Yeah.
And we couldn't exactly say, hey, are you done gaming me or no?
I know. Exactly. Was there anything else you wanted to discuss before we get to ratings?
I don't think so. We got it all.
No. And obviously there's always like little side stories that are happening within the book, but we can only cover so much.
True. And it's already been an hour.
Exactly. All right, so our rating system is out of silk buttercup bouquets.
Silk buttercup bouquets.
Because it was Rune's favorite flower.
What does a buttercup look like?
I think it's... Is it a droopy one?
That's not what I thought it looked like. It's just like... Can you see it?
Oh, okay. I thought it was one of the ones that was kind of like a...
Like a bell, right?
Yes, that was kind of what I was thinking.
Oh, there's Persian buttercups. Okay, now I'm going to fall down a fucking rabbit hole.
Now you're going to fall down a buttercup rabbit
I'm going to be getting ads for like the flower subscription services. Anyway, only if Jeremy Allen White is delivering them.
Honestly.
I gave this 4 buttercup silk bouquets. I feel like there was a lot I didn't love about it, but overall when I finished it, my initial feeling was like, oh, I liked that. I really liked that it was a super easy, quick read.
Very,
I was
very
like,
much so. I finished it in like a day, like maybe 48 hours, I think it took me.
I finished it really quick. And because when you had chosen this book, I was like, oh God, it's like 450 pages or something. Like I got to start reading this.
Quick.
Yeah, it really was. And I know sometimes I struggle with fantasy because it's not a quick read. And then by the time I get through it, I'm like, I don't even remember what happened at the beginning. So I did appreciate that. I liked the characters. It definitely felt YA.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
100%.
And it felt very like low stakes. I don't know. I had the same feelings as you did at the end when it kind of went off the rails with the whole romance thing. So that part could have been reined in a little bit, but I liked that action scene. I want to read the next one. Overall, it was really good. I wouldn't say it's like the best YA fantasy out there. I mean, there's so much to choose from.
There's too much to choose from.
But I liked it. I think it was a good pick.
Yeah, I know, because I was like, I wanted to find something quick to read, and I just went on my Kindle Unlimited, and this was on there, and I was like, let's do this one. I've heard a lot of hype about this one.
Well, we also haven't done any other YA romantasy, right? Well, besides technically ACOTAR, but I don't know about all that.
I gave it 4.5 out of 5 silk buttercup bouquets.
Okay.
It hit all the romantasy plot points for me. The tension between the two of them was pretty much perfection. I think it was really, really well written, their interactions. Like you said, it definitely has like a YA tenor to it, but basing it just strictly on the point of the book, which is their relationship, I thought it was like executed really well. I hate a third act breakup, but it ended up ending terribly anyways, so it is what it is.
Yeah,
but
there was basically an ending breakup.
They had their moment, but yeah, I really liked it. I definitely recommend reading The Rebel Witch. I will read more of her books for sure, because it was just great. I'm really glad that I read it.
We're Team Gideon, right?
Oh yeah,
I'm team neither of them, to be honest, but that's just me. Getting out here hunting witches and stuff. I think it's very irresponsible of him to take his past trauma and pass it on to others.
I know. And there was I was actually also shocked by how much dark, the darkness of some of the situations.
Yeah, like the
Cressida,
stuff that she did to him.
Yeah, like Cressida basically making him her sex slave.
And branding him.
Just and then the execution of the witches was brutal as well. Like you turn them upside down and then slice their throats.
And they bleed out like an animal.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he was basically suicidal and going to these basement brawls and letting people beat the fuck out of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was actually a lot darker than I thought.
A
it was
lot
gonna be.
darker. I mean, and then, but like, I feel like because of like the romance of it all, kind of
It balances
overshadows it. Yeah, because there really is like a lot of darkness,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just like,
well, yeah,
wow.
and I think Rune's narration also, where she does have very immature thoughts, and she does feel guilty for things she shouldn't feel guilty for, like turning in her grandma and stuff like that. So it does feel kind of juvenile in that way.
Yeah.
So I think that balances it all out.
It does. But I'm like, I really want her to write like an adult fantasy novel, romantic novel.
Well, I'm sure she's got more coming soon with all this hype.
I know, because I love a dark storyline, and so I think that there was a lot she could have explored if she were to go down that avenue. But all right,
I like it. Let's do it. I mean, let's end it. Whatever, you know what we're doing.
It's a Monday, guys. This Monday is Mondaying so hard.
We made it through this episode.
It's the last day of June. Somehow, some way, we've made it through half of this year. Christ. Which is actually psychotic.
I don't like. Do you want me to start crying at the end of the podcast, Heather?
No, I'm so sorry. Okay. That's all we have for you today. If you like what you heard, please make sure to follow, subscribe, and rate and review the podcast on whatever platform you listen to us on. If you have any book recommendations or questions for us, you can email us at fullybookedcafpod@gmail.com. Also, be sure to follow us on TikTok and Instagram at fullybookedcafpod to see our upcoming reads. Thanks for checking us out, and remember,
if you need us, we're fully booked.
Bye.